get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. Things I'm on, you make everything feel fine. Girl, you understand. What you want, yeah. This is what you want, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. It's the big match preview. Away days, we are back again for another big, monstrous game. And I had the pleasure of, whilst the intro was on, my daughter and my wife dancing to the tune. And it only started when I said I threatened to turn the camera around, so everyone doing it. But boys, on this fine Thursday evening, as semi-finalists of the Carabao Cup, how are you both feeling this evening? That's Chris.
All good, all good. I know we have the draw coming up, and we're all eyes on that. But focus on the league as well. We want to make it 3 wins on the spin. Sorry, Benjamin. But and if they really like that song, I'm sure they'd love the Zebra tune, Pete. But we'll have to get that to as well.
Not sure. Not sure about that one. How are you, Chris?
All good, mate. Yeah. Really, really busy day in work today. But one more day to go. And I think you're in the same boat as me, aren't you, Pete? I think tomorrow is the final day. So we're on the home stretch, mate. We're on the home stretch.
This bad boy's out, fella.
Yeah. I'm still on the hot chocolate. Yeah, I need to just get tomorrow out the way, and then on the home stretch, mate. But yeah, I'm all good. Particularly interested, obviously, to see that Carabao Cup game. I've just been watching a little bit of Tottenham Man United, and I think we all know who's going to be going through to the cup draw this evening, by the looks of things. But yeah, on a serious note, I'm all good, and really, really nice to invite Benjamin on tonight. Obviously, debut this evening. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking to him, finding out all about Ipswich, and finding out how much Rory Delap is as well. Or Liam Delap, should I say? Rory Delap. Liam Delap. I'm going
old Rory, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going old school there. Liam Delap. Be interesting to see if Benjamin's willing to part ways with him at the end of the season. Who knows? But yeah, I'm good, mate. Pete, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Chris. You can't be trying to buy off their players before the season started talking about it. But no, I'm really good. One more day to go, and then we're off for Christmas. Cannot wait. We're absolutely buzzing, as everyone else will be for the Christmas festivities. But look, let's not wait around. It's a big game on Saturday, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome in, making his debut, Benjamin Bloom from the Blue Monday Ipswich Town Football Club podcast. So welcome in, Benjamin.
We had Dr. Doom. No, it's Mr. Bloom. Welcome, Benjamin.
I thought you weren't going to press the button then, and I wasn't going to appear. There's a £20 million surcharge on Liam Delap if you get his name wrong, yeah?
I deserve that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, look, first of all, welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC, our match preview. It's a pleasure to have you. Look, we're just going to get straight into it. Ipswich Town. A lot of people had already written it off Ipswich Town, as they normally do with newly promoted teams, that they're going to be relegated, they're going to be out of it. I'm going to be honest, I've been quite impressed with Ipswich Town this season. I think you've got a good manager and a good set of players there that are doing well. But as a fan of Ipswich Town Football Club, how would you assess, as we approach the halfway stage of the season, your start to life in the Premier League after a number of years out?
It's bloody hard work, isn't it? I tell you. I mean, you're right, and I guess if I'm speaking to Newcastle fans, and this is not a subtle dig, they actually understand, with a couple of appearances in the EFL in the last sort of 10, 15 years, that there is football that happens below the Premier League, and there's some great stories and some great clubs down there. I'd like to think ours is one of them. Look, you have lots of conversations all about glass ceilings and trying to bridge a gap between Premier League money and Champions League money, and the system you're in perhaps kind of not particularly helping you to do that. And all I'll say is try being a not huge club that not only has been promoted, but has been double promoted, where you're literally coming up with teams like Southampton and Leicester, who've been in the Premier League for 8 and 11 years previously and had either Premier League TV money or EFL parachute, parachute payments you get. And it's just very difficult. And there was lots of goodwill after the double promotion. But what we're learning is that to win a game in the Premier League, everything has to be online in the right place, if you know what I mean. You don't get a lucky win when you're a promoted team. You don't get a comfortable win. There's no, we're just going to coast in 2-0. We've won 2 games. We were clinging on a little bit against Spurs. Good performance there. And we won in the 94th minute against Wolves. I guess to your point, Pete, about being impressed, we've been in a lot of games. There's been a lot of draws. We could have beaten Fulham, at Portman Road. We could have beaten Villa at Portman Road. Those games were both drawn. Played really well against Man United and drew. And there's been a couple of pretty sickening last minute defeats. But I'm sure the football world, after the amount of last minute winners we got last season, are playing the world's smallest violin for them there. But it's great to be back. But it's very different after winning for 2 years, basically.
It is very much a rude awakening in the Premier League because it is relentless and it's unforgiving. And I think that's everything that you're saying, Ben, with regards to Ipswich Town. But, you've come up. There was concerns about whether your manager was even going to stay at the club. He was linked with other clubs during the summer. So it has been a real kind of like turbulent start and preparation to the season, and you've touched on it as well. And I've just had a quick look at some of your results. I mean, 1-0 and these are just in December. So 1-0 against Palace, really close game. 2-1 against Bournemouth.
We were quite well beaten against Palace, actually. That was a bit of a horrible one, that one, Pete, because you're like, right, here we go, head to head, 6-pointer, and you go up against a team who's been in the Premier League for 100 years, and they go, right, you're not scoring tonight. And by the way, we've got Eze and Gay, and we're going to turn up and beat you. And this is bloody hard work, basically. But sorry, continue, mate.
No, absolutely. I think we all had that down as sort of an Ipswich win because of the fact that Palace were playing so poor, and that was a surprise. But then you got the Bournemouth one, the sort of the last minute goal, and you go through some other ones. The Man United one, I thought you'd done enough to win that game. Leicester as well. And so you have been really, really unlucky. Have you found that you've been really unlucky in a lot of these situations, like this season? And what's been the difference maker? Why haven't you been able to get some of these kind of results over the line? What's it been down to, in your opinion?
I just don't want to be that guy who comes on and says my team's low down in the league because of VAR and because we're unlucky, because everyone can play that card. And the truth is that teams that are struggling do concede late goals, not normally because of bad luck, but because of pressure. That I've got to say, let me have one refereeing thing. The Leicester one was really unlucky because I don't know if you saw the incident. We're 1-0 up. We're playing well. There's a really strong penalty shout that doesn't get given. And then Calvin Phillips makes a foul, gets a second yellow card, and they don't go back and look at the penalty call, which we think if they had that tackle then is ruled out. We have a penalty to win the game to go 2-0 up, essentially. And we end up playing the last 15 minutes, including the stoppage time, with 10 men. And Leicester obviously scoring the 95th minute or whatever it was, don't they? So, yeah, I don't want to sit here and say it's bad luck. That's a bit lame. But it's hard, man. We're in League One 2 seasons ago, and there's Leif Davis, Cameron Burgess, Harry Clark started, Sam Morsey, I mean, Jack Taylor we signed from League One, and he was kind of dripped in during the Championship. Our reserve striker, and unfortunately you're not going to get to face our star striker. Well, I'm sure you're very pleased about it at the weekend, but he was at Wimbledon about 8 months ago. So, you know, it's incredible what some of these players are doing, and we just got to build stars, build assets, you know, and talking about the cliff edges, stay the right side of that cliff edge where you're one of the teams that I'm talking about, Leicester and Southampton, that are either getting Premier League money or parachute money, and you can work your way. And there's a lot of inspiration for what Forest are doing and what Fulham have. I know Fulham had like a 90 million quid wage bill in the EFL, but, you know, lots of teams are punching their weight that don't have massive fan bases like Newcastle or Villa, you know, big traditional big clubs. So that's the ambition. And we just got to try and get 35 points and hope that the problem we've had is it took us 99 points to get out of League One in the most ridiculous season ever, and then 96 to get out of the Championship. So no doubt it'll be 43 points to survive or something stupid this season.
I think the way the season's going, I think we'd all feel this way, is that it'd probably be a record low amount of points to get.
I think so, yeah.
To stay in the Premier League with the way it's going, because I think all positions, and whether it's relegation, whether it's European football, Champions League, or even the Premier League, I think it could be a record low points because everyone's just beating everyone at the moment. You never know what's actually going to happen. And I think, for me, I think that may be what it could well be your saving grace in this season to potentially stay
But
in
then,
the league.
Pete, just quickly to counter that, we have got one weird thing happening where top teams are dropping points, where normally the title race, I don't know whether those points, you might be right, they might just go into the middle of the table. And, you know, but normally we've seen the top three, they just beat everybody, don't they? Even the teams in the middle.
Yeah.
But we are seeing weirdly, you know, when you've got Man City 5th, Villa 7th, Spurs 10th, Newcastle 12th, Man United 13th, they're all teams that were in a lot of people's top 6s and top 8s, and they're not in there because they've been dropping points. So you're right, they may not go into the bottom of the table, they may all go into the middle, but I don't think it helps the Premier League at all, a situation like last season where Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley all drop, because those cliff edge I talk about, they just grow. They grow and grow if you get teams yo-yo in between the two. And, you know, we go up against Bournemouth. All Ipswich fans will think they're a bigger club than Bournemouth, but Bournemouth are light years ahead financially if they've been in the Premier League for 3 years or whatever it is. That's the system we're working in.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I wanted to get Daz and Chris your opinions on Ipswich, just from your perspective. Oh, hold on, might not be over yet. 3-2 now.
3-2, I think.
Yeah, Man United scored again. We'll keep an eye on that one. But Daz, Chris, your opinions on Ipswich Town from the games that you've kind of observed Ipswich. You know, what's been the most impressive thing about them for you? What have you taken away from them that you're thinking about looking at the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I remember watching them at the early games at the start of the season, and just kind of willing them on. They were like ahead in games, and then could they hold on? It could have been against Liverpool, a game I was watching. But and you know, there's a few players do stand out. Delap, who we talked about when he was at Hull, or on loan at Hull or whatever, and someone we should even consider ourselves. I remember us talking about him on a Fully Loaded Transfer show, and yeah, we've talked about him since, and he's been playing well for Ipswich, as everyone knows. Murray Hutchinson as well, he's doing well. Again, two young players as well, but was around 21 years of age, great age. Yeah, they're the standouts. But yeah, no, I would love to see Ipswich stay up, to tell you the truth. I just like that romance story. I know that they had to change a lot of personnel as well. That they brought in a few players in the summer. And the manager as well was in demand. Was he going to leave? Was he going to stay as well? And he won for the future as well. A bit like an Eddie Howe in a way. Even a younger version of Eddie Howe. Because Eddie Howe isn't that old. But yeah, no, impressed with them, and I think they have enough to stay up, and I hope they do. But after our game on Saturday. Of course, we'll wish them the best of luck then.
I knew you were going to say that, Daz. I knew you were going to say
We say that every show.
You do. Chris, who stood out for you, or is standing out for you from an Ipswich perspective? Anything about the way in which they play? If you've seen any particular games, what's kind of the thing that you're thinking about, knowing that we play them on Saturday?
I mean, obviously, the easiest one to think about, obviously, is Delap, and I know, as Benjamin's already said, like he's out at the weekends, but they've got some good players, Ipswich, and I've not seen loads of them this season, but in the games that I have seen, and Benjamin's spot on what he said at the start, they've been in the games, like they're not just getting rolled over, and I think Daz has mentioned Hutchinson. They brought in Sammy Smoddocks, who I thought was a decent signing. He did well.
He might well play at number 9 as well at the weekend, with George Hurst being injured and Delap being suspended. Yeah,
we faced him before, lads, as well. If you remember when we played Blackburn, and I think he scored against us.
He did.
Yeah, in the cup. Yeah, he did. So he could play up top, and then obviously Leif Davis, that we know. Geordie lad, so we've always kind of kept one eye on him too. But and you know what as well, I think we've all kind of been keeping an eye on Calvin Phillips, because he had that unsuccessful loan spell at West Ham, then he's gone to Ipswich. I mean, overall, Benjamin, like I'll ask you a question in a minute, but I think I would love to see Ipswich stay up this season, purely because first time back in the Premier League for such a long time. But I like McKenna. I think he plays football the right way. I think it was good as well, that he turned down the alleged Chelsea move and wanted to stay. I think that's
Brighton.
Was it Brighton? I thought it was Chelsea. Was it Brighton?
Did
he get linked to Chelsea as well, though?
He got linked with
right.
but there was a very long week with Brighton. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Heavily linked with both of them, but Brighton, I think, was. Yeah, I think from what you mentioned, yeah, that's the one that got close.
Say no more.
Well, it's good. It's good that he stays anyway. But what I wanted to ask you, Benjamin, how has Calvin Phillips been? I know you touched on him earlier, but like, what's he been like? Is he like the Calvin Phillips that we saw at West Ham, or is he starting to look a bit more like the Calvin Phillips we obviously saw and heard of from Leeds?
Unfortunately, a bit more of the Calvin Phillips that was at West Ham. Just hasn't managed to get going yet. And there's been a few performances in the home games against Fulham and Villa. There was 10, 15 minutes where it was, you are clearly our, most experienced, seasoned player. And, start stroking the ball around. But, and this will sound ridiculous, Sam Morsey, who everyone thought was a championship hatchet man, is, keeping him out of the team essentially. And there's it's really difficult because we think we have an idea of what the salary is. And I know everybody looks at the Luton example and Ross Barkley of, you can strike gold and rehabilitate and get a player who's frankly you'd have no hope of getting, who's been in England Euro finals and a Champions League winner or whatever, and just hope you can get him at the right time. It doesn't look like it's going to be that way for Calvin, but he seems very well integrated. Everyone knows he's a nice lad and a down-to-earth lad. He's a bit of a lightning rod. You do get a bit of Phillips derangement syndrome because he's a England name and all of that, and everything he does is massively analysed. But I'll be quite blunt with you, lads. He's probably not going to start at the weekend. You're probably not going to see him, and if you do, we think it'll be Jens Kajust and Sammy Morsey in midfield. So think of that what you will. Our star seasoned Premier League operator is not able to get in the team.
Yeah, I think in that situation, it's praise to, like you said, the likes of Morsey, who's keeping him out of the team rather than the other way around, because there were question marks around him. He should be our best player on paper when you look at what he's done in his career. Yeah, absolutely. In the wage he's commanding, I don't know whether you're paying his full wage or part wage. I'm not sure what that is. Where we even care about
that. But it's a lot. And for a club that was in League One that hasn't had Premier League or parachute money for 20 years. It's you want to utilize that part of your budget really well, Pete. And as much as I think he's a great guy and has been a great player and could be a great player, we probably need a bit more from Calvin.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's more than fair. But you touched on it as well. I think Chris mentioned him, Kieran McKenna. You touched on him as a manager. Okay, what has he brought to your team? If you can, for the Newcastle fans that are going to be watching this match preview, what's his style of play? How does he set up Ipswich? And what makes them tick? What makes them the effective team that they have been at times this season?
He makes them the effective team is the answer. It is the Kieran McKenna show. And yes, we were like when you guys have been in the Championship, when we were in League One, we were the richest team and we had the best players and, we had the big advantage. But if you follow the Championship, what Ipswich did last season was a miracle, an absolute bloody miracle, especially when you factor in the three, not one, but the three most powerful parachute teams in history, all scoring, two of them 90 points and above. For Ipswich to be anywhere near, even a playoff win would have been miraculous, and they finished second. So he played very methodical football in League One. We've still dominated and controlled games in the Championship, and that's amazing considering who we were up against. And yes, we did have a run at it from all the points we scored, the 99 points in League One. He adapts really well. So I feel Russ Martin gets unfair criticism sometimes for being too stubborn. But what you won't see from Kieran McKenna is he won't be completely wedded, and he will. In League One, we had to play back to front from time to time. In the Championship, we had to sit back and absorb and, counter-attack. And this season, I'm going to mention bloody Liam Delap again. We have had to just kick it in the channels and let this bloody monster run after it, which is why it's so disappointing he's not going to be there. But he's a brilliant manager. We think he won't be Ipswich manager for long. That's the deal when you're a club our size. It's if you can't speak out both sides of your mouth. You can't say your manager's superb and then assume he's going to, we've got a top half Premier League manager. He's just going to manage in the bottom half. He's not, but he's been absolutely superb, really studious, really calm as well. And yeah, I dare say this would be a different conversation if he'd taken the Brighton job, and we might have a few fewer points and a few more goals conceded, and he'd be talking very differently if he wasn't still in the dugout.
No,
Benjamin.
Go.
Oh, sorry, Pete. I was just going to say, if he was to leave, do you think that by you staying up, that there's a better chance of keeping him? And also, do you think if he was to leave, where would you? I don't know if you're a betting man or not, but where would you say that you could see him going to?
I guess. I mean, you guys would know this better than me. There's almost Premier League club, established Premier League club, and then there's elite club. And it's very hard for, say, Eddie Howe to get the Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, whatever. It tends to be a super name who gets paid a ton of money. So it would be very hard for him to get one of those jobs. But he's been at Spurs and he's been at Man United. And those are two of the, with all due respect to your club as well, those are two of the kind of elite jobs. Whereas I think most people would put Newcastle in, could be elite, but it's a job that managers think that they can get and work themselves into an elite club. So you would think it would be either somewhere in the Brighton would have been perfect for him, I've got to say, but it came too soon. Not a established super club in English football terms, but one that can be in the top six with a good job. So you would imagine that. I don't know the answer to the other question, Chris, because if he stays up or he goes down, I still think people will want to take him, because let's be honest, if you relegated us right now, what's everyone going to say about McKenna? He stayed, he was loyal, he's developed players, he's built stars. They were in League One 2 seasons ago. He's had a good crack at it. Bournemouth haven't shit the bed. Brentford haven't. Forest haven't. No one, only Wolves are kind of trying to help out the 3 promoted teams at the moment. And everyone will say, well, he didn't give it a bad shot, did he? So I think whatever happens, we'll see which jobs become available in the summer, and he'll be linked with all of them.
Chris, I have a follow-up question for you. Are you trying to recruit there for a club that's recently been taken over today, the Wear Blue?
No, do you know what? Yeah, no.
That's his angle. That's his angle.
No. Do you know what? That didn't even enter my head. Actually, I was just interested to see who Benjamin fought, because don't ask me why. I don't know. I could see him maybe going to a West Ham or something. Just someone around there.
I know what you're saying. The thing with the likes of Everton and West Ham is the whole basket case thing, where there's a bit of a sense that you would rather be at a slightly smaller, stable club than look. If you get Everton or West Ham, right, you're a bloody club legend within years, aren't you? Same with Newcastle. Whoever wins the trophy at Newcastle is going to be statues and everything. You're only ever a year away from it. But look, Brighton is like the poster boy stable club, and he didn't do it, did he? So I don't know whether he thinks that Man United job or that Spurs job is coming. Man United's hard, isn't it? But I don't know whether he thinks the Spurs job is coming down the line. He was a coach there, and he was there as a player as well, wasn't he? So who knows?
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting.
He can stay at Ipswich as long as he likes, Pete.
Absolutely. And I hope that is the case, because this is the issue, is that a team comes up. We hope Ipswich stay up, and we hope that they are able to build on that again. But this is what happens. A manager gets taken, they're not able to stabilize and to build. Whereas, for example, as an example of our manager, when he was at Bournemouth, he was able to do that. He was able to get Bournemouth promoted and have a number 5 years to stabilise them in the Premier League before he eventually left. And obviously they got relegated, COVID season, all the rest of that fell into that piece. But he was able to do that, and it meant that they had a quick return after a couple of years straight back in. And now they're you would say they are a Premier League team and almost moving into that established version. So you want a manager to be able to do that, because what will then happen is, what you don't want to happen is, a manager comes in, potentially keeps you in the league, because I think you've got a great chance of doing it. You're right in the mix, keeps you in the league, and then if he goes in the summer to somewhere, you've got a new manager coming in, new ideas, might not like or want to work with the players that are already there. Everything's get a little bit messed up, and then it can sometimes, in most cases, fall flat. Sheffield United are a classic example of that with Wilder. They come in, they nearly got European football in the COVID season. It all kind of fell apart. They had a fallout with Wilder. Wilder left, a new manager came in, went to pot, got relegated. Now they're in the position where they're fighting to get back up. You don't want that. You want a team to be solidified.
Pete, as well, our thought is, if you can just stay 1 year and get that second year of the TV money. I mentioned Bournemouth, and Brighton and Forest and Brentford, and all love to Brentford and Bournemouth. But when we were all growing up, Brentford and Bournemouth and Ipswich Town, there was no competition, but they are light years ahead just after a couple of seasons in the Premier League. So just want to try and stay that one season. And then you're right, if you do go down and the manager leaves, you're expected to get promoted with the parachute payment, but what if you don't, and the clock is ticking, isn't it? It's really tough, yeah.
We've seen that happen so many times.
Stoke's what you don't want to be, and you're marooned. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's going to be an interesting one. We'll get onto the game in just a second, but Daz, is there a couple of questions? I know one or two things have been starred by people in the chat. Anything to ask Benjamin straight out the bat?
Well, first of all, we'll go there with Lisa's one. I thought this was a good one as well. Lisa goes, question for Benjamin. Has anyone ever told you look a bit like Hosier?
Well, if you're a man with beautiful hair like me, you get compared to a lot of people. I'm sure Lisa will tell us that Hosier is a very charismatic, handsome and powerful man. So I'm sure I do indeed look a bit like him.
Excellent singer as well. Tom has gone straight in. Do you think Ipswich will stay up in the Premier League?
We need some help from Wolves, and we need. Well, you'll tell me more about Leicester under Ruud van Nistelrooy because you absolutely battered him. We need Leicester to keep conceding as many chances as they did. But honestly, looks like 3 from Southampton look a bit dead and buried, depending on a miraculous manager hire. And then it looks like 3 from 4. We just got to get above Leicester, above Wolves, and we just got our fingers crossed that Wolves are going to have 3 managers this season, and everyone's going to fall out, and they're going to not get to 35 points or whatever you need. But feels 50-50, doesn't it?
Andy Ford goes straight in and he goes, do Man City have a buyback clause in Delap?
Yes, they do. But hopefully it's been written properly that it doesn't apply in January, because that would be the worst contract that's ever been given out to that'd be as bad as the loophole that Leicester jumped through to get away with their points deduction, wouldn't it? Not that I'm bitter about that. That would have been a massive help as well if the Premier League could actually write their clauses properly. But I don't know whether there'd be interest, because essentially you've got, I know you guys will say that Alan Shearer rightly is the greatest Premier League striker of all time, but he may be about to be surpassed by Erling Haaland. Do you want to be his backup? You might want to be his backup. You might back yourself. I don't know. I don't think he'll go back. No, I think he'd go elsewhere if it's bids in the summer. But there is a buyback clause here.
There is a buyback. Tony Beasley, transfer Tony. He says, "How good is Delap? Is he the next best young English striker, or who does he remind you of?"
He reminds me of Didier Drogba, and he is the best English striker. And how much does he sack?
63 million.
150 million.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 149 for Delap then. Yeah? Yeah. No, he's fantastic. And look, I realised this when I watched Fulham play. I was like, these Premier League teams, their players are all extremely physically good or extremely technically good, which you don't get in the Championship. And it's easier to get someone who's extremely physically good, or it's cheaper than someone who's extremely technically good. And Liam Delap is a bloody monster when it comes to physicality. I'm sure you've seen the ball go in the channel, and these are good defenders he's laying on their backside. Diego Carlos of Aston Villa, the poor Wolves guys. Gary O'Neill said it was like an under-18 playing in an under-12s game or something. So he's an absolutely fantastic weapon for us. It'd be really helpful to bump that fee up if he could just get put even in an England squad just to go and train or whatever. That would help. That would help massively. But yeah, like Kieran McKenna, Liam Delap may not be at Ipswich in 2 years' time.
Moving away from Delap for 1 sec. Sorry, Pete.
I was going to say, it isn't that 4-2 to Tottenham. Son has just scored from a corner. He's literally just scored from a corner. It's part brilliance and part absolute howling goalkeeping from the Man United Turkish goalkeeper, their number 2. It is embarrassing. I just wanted to throw that out there. The lap is an interesting one. I think he needs to go where I think you're right, Benjamin. I think he's going to want to go wherever he goes next. I think now he's had a taste of being the main man at Ipswich Town and being the leading line striker. I think he's going to want more of that. So whoever he goes to, I think he's going to want to be the main man. Because we talked about it, didn't we? We have this knack. I apologise, Benjamin, but we have this knack of saying who we're coming up next, or won't mind him at our club, won't mind him. It's normal football talk, but we talked about it, didn't we, boys? About Delap potentially being that guy, but I can't see it because he want to play every week, being at that top team. And, if Alvarez is going to have that issue at Man City and end up
there you go.
Why would Delap go and sit on the bench at Man City every week? I don't think it's good for him and his development, and I just don't think he seems like the type of guy that's going to want to do that. But
this is the problem with modern day football, isn't it? Because back in the day, teams used to have 2 or 3 good strikers, but now you can't have 2 or 3 really good strikers, because you're going to have one or two, invariably two, very upset ones. Because
and you have Chris, you have starters and finishers as well, and it would literally be his job to play. I mean, it sounds like a good gig. You know, Haaland's softened people up for 75 minutes, and you come in at 2-0 up and grab yourself some goals. But you know, it's difficult for us mere mortals sometimes to get into the headspace of these elite, hyper-achieving footballers. And like Pete says, they ain't anyone's reserve, are they? They're the guy, and they want to be first one down there, and it's goals, 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 and winning, isn't it?
Yeah,
this has got them this far already, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's move on. We'll come back to more questions later. Sorry, Pete.
Yeah, just keeping with the Delap situation. So, you know, you talked about Smodic being the number 9 and potentially being that guy up front. I'll get you to run through your lineup really, really quickly in just a second on the tactics board. But you know, is that going to drastically change your approach, do you think, on Saturday with him not being in the team? You know, the way you've spoke about him tonight in particular, he seems like the real absolute focal point of the way in which you play. Are you worried that you're going to change and play in a very different way? And could that affect you negatively going into Saturday's game?
Yeah, you can't conclude otherwise, can you? Because that out ball, and your centre halves are massive as well, and Smodic is, you know, a presser and a runner in behind. But I mean, I'm sure Delap would have had a good go at roughing even 6'12" Dan Burn-up. But no, hopefully Kieran McKenna can kind of find something in it where someone can come short and leave your two centre backs doing nothing and give Eddie Howe a question to answer. But would I prefer the ball in the channel and him standing on one of your fullbacks who's up the pitch attacking? Probably that. So look, you know, if we took Guimaraes or Gordon or Isak, you'd be saying we're not as good now, and that's what we're going to be saying, sadly.
Yeah, definitely. 4-3.
4-3.
This is absolute madness.
Is the draw tonight, lads?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, it's okay.
It is. But what I'll do very quickly is get you to just call out what you think will be the lineup for Ipswich on Saturday. So I've got your squad line in at the bottom here. Hopefully I've got every player in as they should be across the line. But just from goalkeeper to forward, who do you think is going to be lining up for your team?
Yeah, so it will definitely be Muric in goal. I'd imagine the two centre halves Leif Davis will definitely be the left back. And it will be Dara O'Shea will be the right-sided centre back. Can't see him on there. He's got a higher squad number.
No, I knew I'd missed out a player.
There you go. Stick someone else in for O'Shea. Stick Wolfenden in and it can be O'Shea.
That's fine. We'll do that.
Even though he's definitely not going to. It'll probably be Cameron Burgess, who's signed from Accrington Stanley and is now playing in the Premier League. What a story, hey?
Who are they?
Exactly. The difficult one is Axel Tuanzebe would be the right back, and we would much prefer to be facing Anthony Gordon with Axel Tuanzebe. So we think it's going to be Ben Johnson for just don't let Gordon past you, because Harry Clark's maybe a bit more athletic, but a bit more emotional. And Gordon obviously is a star player, isn't he? It will be Morsey and Kayust in central midfield. It will be... So let's assume Smodic is going to play number 9.
Okay.
Stick Wes Burns down the right, who we think had his best game at Wolves. He struggled a little bit. Again, signed from Fleetwood in League One. So another brilliant story. Stick Hutchinson in the number 10. And then pick your ex-Sunderland player here. Should we go for Jack Clark down the left? Oh, no. Right, hold your horses. Sorry. Put Hutchinson down the left. My bad. And put Connor Chaplin in at number 10. My bad. Sorry, Pete.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Absolutely. And just for the avoidance of doubt, if I'm getting any crap in the comments, Luke Wolfenden is Dara O'Shea, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
But it should look something like that. The only real doubt will be who's going to go up against Anthony Gordon at right back, but we think a Premier League experienced player like Ben Johnson might be a better bet.
Is that Ben Johnson who was at West Ham? Ben?
Yeah.
Not
Not the Canadian disgraced sprinter.
Sprinter,
yeah.
He actually rejected a contract offer from West Ham to move to you guys, which I think was
The sprinter Ben Johnson.
No, the actual right back. But no, I thought that was a really good move from him.
It could be Harry Clark. I don't know. That's just me guessing, and I know less about football than Kieran McKenna, which might come as a shock to you all.
but more than Hosier.
Touché.
Is it weird now that I want to see Wolfenden start on Saturday?
On Saturday.
just to justify selection in the
and
team.
it's really difficult because you come up with these players, and he is the homegrown guy as well. But it's just brutal, and we get a lot of snarky people saying, "Oh, you turn your back on the team that got you up." It's like, what are we supposed to do? You have to build stars. You can't just show up in the Premier League with. I know there's how many is there in there? So Davis, Burgess, Chaplin, and Burns all played for us in League One.
Okay.
Wow.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. You took them through.
So did Morsey. My bad. So did Morsey. Yeah.
It definitely has a feel of a Bournemouth situation because they had
exactly. Yeah.
Situation where they took those players through. It does have that.
But sometimes your pattern of play is worth more to you than your individual players, isn't it? And it's not worth messing with that. And to be honest, Jacob Greaves cost a fortune, and Cameron Burgess is keeping him out. Calvin Phillips is being paid a fortune, and Sammy Morsey is keeping him out.
Yeah. No, I agree absolutely. Right, boys, let's pick the Newcastle team really quickly just to see how they match up, and then we'll get to predictions.
Very easy.
It's got to be unchanged, then. It's got to be.
Is it
J7? J7 can play.
Oh, of course. Yeah, good point.
And as well, are we expecting another Brentford tinker from Eddie Howe? I don't know. I'm just putting little grenades in there to get you thinking. But
what I'm wondering is which tens of £1 million reserve you're going to put in for Joe Linton here that's going to make me cry, yeah?
Go on, boys. You do the honors.
Oh, we know it's going to be Dubravka. It has to be Dubravka in goal. Shout here, Chris, along the way. Yeah. So Hall, left back. We've got Byrne and Char and Tino. Even though Trips came on and got some minutes, but I still think he'd stick with Tino.
Yeah, okay.
Especially up against Hutchinson, because he's pretty quick, ain't he?
Yeah. You take the midfield, Chris.
All right, mate. So it's got to be Sandro Tonali in the holding. Has to be. I also wouldn't touch Bruno in that right centre mid. I think he's got to go there. And for me and Benjamin, this is
Kevin Nolan.
Love Kevin Nolan.
It would be a dream. Prime.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Joe Willock. I think it'll be Joe Willock.
What do you think, guys? You agree?
20 million, yeah.
I agree, yeah.
25.
There you go.
Go on, Daz. You do the phone free, mate.
Same again. Gordon on the left, Isaac in the middle, and that's that £20 million man, Chris. That we've labelled him now.
We've labelled him 20 mil.
It's Murphy.
Hey, if Ipswich stay up,
who's on fire?
Yeah, ex Norwich,
Norwich.
Ain't happening.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
Not a chance. both the Murphy brothers, ex Norwich, never happened. But no, I can't disagree. The only thing I would think is if Eddie Howe's thinking about, it's been a 3-game week, players being tired, can they go to the to the well again? The reason being is because Boxing Day, they're going to be playing again at home to Aston Villa. So it's going to be another relatively quick turnaround before we play in again. So that's the only thing I'm thinking. Are they going to make changes to keep certain players fresh? But for me, if you're asking me, boys, I think the lineup that you've given is absolutely the lineup that would and should play for the game on Saturday. But it is going to be interesting. The battle in that midfield with Morsi. Is it Casus?
Go with whatever you like. We're going chaos, but you know, live and let live.
It's that battle in that midfield there. Just really quickly, Ben, is it? Do you tend to play down the wings or do you play through the middle? What's your approach? When you've got the ball.
Well, in the Premier League, we just try and get the ball first. But generally, it's been kind of a lopsided 4-2-3-1, where the whole plan is to get Leif Davis forward and to switch the play to him. So then everything else moves across and tucks in exactly like you're illustrating on the screen there. But we can't control games against, Guimaraes and Tonali, and you've got very good fullbacks as well, haven't you? So a bit of counter attack, I guess, and we'll try and get on the ball. And it's hard because you just got to take your good 10 minutes or your good 15 minutes, which you might get off a Newcastle, and try and score in those periods, haven't you? But they'll try and play through. It's tricky as we're going to come on, because you can do this every week as a fan of a promoted team, and you can sit there and say, if that team in black and white plays to their potential, you can't beat them. It's too difficult. But it's football, and we have patterns of play, and we have 3-game weeks, and we have midweek EFL Cup games. We have players suspended. I know maybe I think we'd accept Joe Linton playing if Delap could play as well. So I think maybe you've got the better end of that. But yeah, it's tricky. And then you look at the benches as well, and got to remember Harvey Barnes beating up for West Brom against us as well. So it's very hard, but we'll try and play our game, and hopefully you can leverage home support as well. Newcastle aren't going to have been to Portman Road in a while, so that might, I know they're elite players, aren't they? That might be unfamiliar to them. You got to, as I say, everything has to be online. Everything for promoted teams to win games. Hopefully we get the good side of the refereeing decisions, the good side of the luck. The ball hits the post, it goes in for us and it goes out for you, and you got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah. And you know what, as well, Benjamin, a lot of it comes down to desire. So many times, when we're fully up for it and we're pressing and we're, really trying our best, you're right, inevitably we tend to have
sorry to interrupt, Chris. You have a better points per game against teams in the top half than in the bottom half, which would illustrate what you're saying.
Yeah. That's it.
Interesting. But there's our lineups, guys. That's how it's potentially going to look. Obviously, their number 6 is a different player. Is going to be in that team. But boys, that's how it's potentially going to look. And thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. What we'll do now is to wrap up the show, and it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on, Benjamin. Really, really good insight.
Pleasure.
And great opinions as ever. We'll end on predictions. So for me, again, away from home, we're not the best. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I don't think there's going to be many chances in this game, being honest. But I think it'll be close. I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle. I think that's how close it'll be, and I've got a feeling we're going to, if we do win, we're going to score late to win the game. But Daz, what are you thinking for your prediction, mate?
Thinking between one of two scores, but I'm gonna go go more positive. But I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0. Just the momentum will take us through. If it was a couple of weeks ago, I think we could have lost this one. I think Isak is going to shine in this game on Saturday. So 2-0 Newcastle. Chris.
Okay.
I completely agree with you, Daz. I was thinking the same, 2-0. I fancy 2-0, and I hope we keep a clean sheet. But more importantly, it's about the 3 points, isn't it? Because we need to keep this little mini revival or mini run going. So I'm sorry about that, Benjamin, but we desperately need to try and close the gap on that top group of clubs, because it's been so frustrating in recent weeks. As we've already said, you win a couple, you lose a few. Just to get a run of winning 3, 4, 5 games, all of a sudden we could find ourselves in that top 4, top 5, and that's really where we want to be this season.
And then we end on the your prediction, Benjamin. What are you thinking in terms of what you think it might be scoreline?
Well, can I just set this up by saying that on the Blue Monday podcast, Seb went for a very positive 1-1. Mikey also went for a 1-1. Look, we had a great win. I'm setting you up for the bad news here, aren't I? We had a great win against Wolves, which changed the complexion of it. We've got 3 games now against Newcastle, Arsenal, and Chelsea, which is just hideous. And before that run, I would have said the easiest of those 3 is Newcastle at home if you've got Liam Delap. We don't have Liam Delap. So on Blue Monday, I hate to say this, I actually went for exactly what the other 2 lads there, and I went for a 0-2. I think it's going to be difficult for us to score. Without Delap and without Hurst as well to back him up, I think Smodics might have a hard time against Burn and Shah. So I think it's going to be difficult. I bloody hope I'm as wrong as could be. I hope we get all the refereeing calls, all the luck. I hope you play absolutely terribly. You get a red card after 5 minutes. We get a dodgy penalty and we get the win, because that's what you need in the Premier League. It's difficult, lads, but I don't want to be the guy who just backs his team every single week. It's, you're in the Champions League not so long ago. So I've gone 2-0 Newcastle, grudgingly.
Well, I think it's an honest answer, Benjamin. Absolutely, and we're like that. Right? We always want to support our teams, but sometimes you just have to be realistic when we're playing.
I'd love to be wrong,
and that's the key. But that's the key. I hope you're not wrong from a Newcastle.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But look, Benjamin, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk to us this evening. Just let everybody know where they can find your channel and where they can find you from a Newcastle perspective.
Yeah, so if you look on the back there, that's the Benjamin Bloom football channel there. You can check that out. That's my channel. Little bit of everything on there. You get the Championship Check-In podcast with the great Sam Parkin, who's summarising for Sky on a lot of the Championship games. We have predictions and whatnot. Premier League Check-In podcast with Matt SB on there as well. But from a Newcastle point of view, you need to check out the Blue Monday podcast. We've just done our preview show. Although I'll be blindly honest, I said exactly the same things on this show as I did on there. So maybe come and check the review show on Sunday night. We'll be live at 8 p.m. We're grown-ups, we're adults. We do like to hear from away supporters if they want to come in, especially if you're fair play, if you're making the hike down from Newcastle all the way down to Portman Road, because that's not a fun journey at any time of the year, let alone just before Christmas as well. So, yeah, there's not many short journeys for you lads coming down. So, yeah, come and check out the Blue Monday podcast. Yeah, check out the prediction show as well. Muchly appreciated, everyone. And thank you for having me on. And yeah, good luck on Saturday. And good on Saturday or on Sunday. Saturday. Good luck on Saturday. Stupid Premier League. It's always Saturday in the EFL, isn't it? There you go. But yeah, good luck at the weekend. Good luck for the season.
Top man.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers,
people, we are going to make a very quick switch because the semi-final draw is fast approaching. So we're going to be switching on to our cup draw, a live cup draw in just a second. But again, big thanks to Benjamin taking the time out. And boys, I'll let us wrap.
That's it. See you in the next one.
Go on, you Blues.
I'm